Greetings, 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 Light It Up TV family. This is your host, Cheryl, and we are live for another episode of Talk About It Tuesday. So, listen, we want you all to join us. Go ahead, as I always say, share this video out because I believe we've had a lot of great topics, but this one is one that's very important because we are living in a technological society and we need to know how to keep our children safe, how to keep our information safe. So join us, share it out. If you're joining me, please say hello so I will know who you are. Let everyone know we are live. I always give it about 3 minutes for technology to catch up and the video goes out on Facebook, not on Facebook, on YouTube, right? We're live on YouTube, but for you all to share it out on Facebook. Okay, so I am sharing it out also to let everyone know we are live. We are live. If you are joining us, say hello. We are live. Join us. Join us. I like our new music that we have. Our topic for tonight's Talk About It Tuesday is Cybersecurity Awareness. October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So we are getting in on this topic, sharing some great tips. We have a software network engineer with us, Gregory Wallace, and he'll be joining us, giving us some really good information about cybersecurity awareness, how to keep us and our children safe. All right, let me know we are live. Say hello to me. Say hello when you join us. Say hello. Let us know who you are. Let me know that you are here. Our topic for tonight is cybersecurity awareness. October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and we'll be sharing some great tips on how to stay safe online. If you have any questions, as always, if you're thinking about some questions that you may have, go ahead and you can go ahead and actually begin to drop them in the chat. If you have questions, something that you've just been thinking about in regards to you being online, in regards to your children being online, any questions that you may have. Our topic is cybersecurity awareness, and let's share this video out. We have maybe about 1 more minute we'll give, and we'll go ahead and jump in. Also, we have our Find Your Voice Friday. Yes, our Find Your Voice Friday. That episode will be coming up on the last Friday of this month, so stay tuned for that. Our Find Your Voice Fridays. Our kids have been doing a wonderful job. Oh, I have not, you all, I was in the wrong chat. Hi, Ajada. Thank you. Hi, Patrice. Hi, Charity. Hi, Lou. Thank you all so much for joining us. All right. I think we will go ahead and get started. If you are joining us, go ahead and share this video out. Family, friends, co-workers, let everyone know that we are live. All right. As I was saying, welcome to another episode of Talk About It Tuesday. And tonight's topic is cybersecurity awareness. You all, I will say that I have learned so much while researching this topic. And when I looked up different awarenesses. And when that one came up, this was something I felt that was really good, some really great information that parents and children, that parents can use, and they'll be able to help their children to stay safe while they're online. All right, let's go ahead and jump into our episode on tonight. I also want to say, if you've not subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure and go ahead and do that. All right, and then get someone else, just one other person, to go ahead and subscribe, because make sure and like this video as well, because it lets YouTube know that this is the content that you want to see, that you want to be shared on YouTube. All right, so joining us tonight for cybersecurity awareness, we have software network engineer Gregory Wallace. If you can bring him up. Yes, welcome. Hello, Mr. Gregory, how you doing on this evening?
I muted myself.
That's okay. How you doing this evening?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much. I know that your schedule is packed and your time is busy, and it's valuable. So I really thank you for taking the time out to share with our parents some really great tips and to bring awareness, to just Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So
not a problem at all.
Much. Well, let's get started. So the first question is, tell us a little bit about yourself. What is it that you do? Software network engineer. What is that all about?
So first and foremost, I am just a guy from the countryside, kind of born and raised in that whole world where we weren't introduced to technology. And as I was getting older, I began to see a lot of technological things. And my general interest for those things really began to catch spark with respects to that. And it's so funny. I just found out my grandmother on my father's side was a gadget guru who just absolutely loved gadgets. So I guess that's where that came from. So that being said, it's certainly something that began to feed what I enjoy doing as of now. And that led me to the whole cybersecurity world, primarily because I went to school for software engineering. So once I kind of got introduced to that, then of course that kind of created this mindset on what it means to protect ourselves from everything and everyone. Because when you go to the internet world, that basically gets into a place where it's just like walking the streets alone by yourself.
Wow.
So when you think about those things from that standpoint, the cybersecurity perspective of it, from a software network standpoint, is one where I'm focusing on developing how to make computers talk, like literally how we communicate, you and I, via this live stream, and also understand what needs to be done, aka somebody having a form of latency, or like how we were kind of dealing with, or even when it comes down to packets going from point A to point B, that's what the actual bits are that's traveling from one person to another, almost like an envelope from one home address to another address, aka IP address. So those things are generally the things that I kind of focus on. And I kind of develop different forms of technology with respects to configuring devices that come from like different vendor sets. We may be creating something on our own. Like we do a lot of different things on deploying those things to different places throughout the world.
That's a lot. Listen, that is a lot. Now, when we get into these questions, you have to break a lot of that down for us. All right, that's a whole.
We'll try to do that. Yeah, definitely.
I will be stopping you and say, "Hey, okay, hold on, break that down for us." So
please, by all means, do that. I have a tendency to talk on a very high level, and sometimes I forget that everybody hasn't been baptized into these things that I have been. So that being said, like certainly keep in mind that I may not be thinking about that and say, "Hey, I need for you to break that down," because I don't know what you're talking about.
Right. But the gist of what I got from there, what you do is you program the computers to talk, to communicate, and then also you help information to go safely from one point to another across the world. Is that
that is a very simple way of putting it?
Okay. Yes. All right, that's great. So listen, I want to remind you all, if you are just joining us, say hello to us I know that you may have some questions already. If you have questions for our host, go ahead and put them in the comment section. I had a lot of questions as I was, like I said, researching this topic, and I was like, and I don't even think I'll get to all of the things because you all, it is a vast array of information out there when you start talking about cybersecurity and just online and things that occur online and just being aware. So one of the things I wanted to let everyone know that that our podcast focuses on elementary age children, but also their families. So we want to make sure that we are talking about how to keep you safe as adults so you can then share the information with your children. So cybersecurity awareness, a good definition for that, would that just be like keeping everything safe online? Would you say that is a good definition for when you talk about cybersecurity?
So I would say partially with respect to that, when you say safe, I would add to that you are keeping yourself safe from malicious attackers because
Mm-hmm.
everything online, whereas may not be safe, you do have safe things and you can communicate with people safely and you
Mm-hmm.
want to keep yourself protected at all times. But the question is always, what are you keeping yourself protected from? And
Mm.
those things are generally summed up into a level of cyber attackers or malicious attackers, like people who do not have good intentions with respects to you and your information that you put online.
Okay. I'm glad you said that. Like adding, keeping your safe. What are we keeping ourselves safe from? Okay.
Right.
So we want to give some good tips tonight. First, I want to ask the audience, as we're discussing, I want you to please share what you think are the three most important things to know about online safety. What do you think? All right. Just from you, for our audience. Okay. Just from you being online, just from what you have learned over the years, what do you believe are the three most important things to know about online safety? Okay, let us know. I want to hear from you. Drop it in the comment section. Drop it in the comment section. Okay. So we hear about online safety all the time, and especially we hear about like identity theft. Okay, that is one thing that we hear about a lot all the time. Identity theft everywhere you go, like keeping your information safe. What are some of the ways I want to ask you now? I guess the easiest way for someone to allow identity theft, and then how on the other end of it is what are some things that we need to know to be safe to try to keep that from happening. Okay, all right, so that's my question. So the question is, what is the easiest way for someone to allow identity theft? Because that is a big one, because I know, like you said, malicious people are attackers are trying to get information. Okay, so what is the easiest way for that to happen, for us to allow that to happen?
So the easiest way to allow that to happen is basically not be aware of your personally identifiable information being
Mm-hmm.
revealed to everybody. So
Mm-hmm.
when you think about things that are personal to you, and I'll talk about things that are more so people already automatically know are things that you certainly want to be aware of, like your social security number. You wouldn't just
Mm-hmm.
have that sitting out in the open somewhere. Or
Right.
if you're typing your password into your computer, you wouldn't just have your actual password in plain text rather than
Mm-hmm.
something encrypted, also known as the dots or the stars that you would see when it comes down
Mm-hmm.
to how those things are typed. So the main thing is understanding that you do not want these things just readily available for people to see from a day-to-day perspective. And I'm gonna take a step out of the cybersecurity world and show you how easy people can just jump on that without a problem. Everybody has cars.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody goes to different places that are public places when they
Mm-hmm.
drive their cars from point A to point B. So when
Right.
you think about going in a parking lot, you typically lock your doors, right? Then
Right.
you press the button again to make sure that the horn blows to let you know that, hey,
Right.
your security is now on.
Right.
Most people don't think about, oh, that envelope that has your home address on it is still sticking up. Oh, that level of things that's just very personally identifiable
Stop
for
right there.
you.
So you're saying, like, are you actually talking literally about an envelope with your address on it in the car whenever you leave that could be wow.
and people can literally take that information and do what they may with it.
Now, I do that a lot. I because I'm always, picking up mail. I'm always
Right.
have information, and I'm leaving it in the car and going out, and I'm not. Now, what about you? Am I the only one that has mail? And sometimes you all let me know. Am I the only one that does that?
I
Wow, I
think
never.
virtually almost everybody does it.
Has
That's
anyone
how
else
easy it is.
Has
Yeah.
anyone audience, have you all thought about that? That's something that I guess I didn't really think about. So in answer to to our audience questions, I want to see what they said. They said, and then we'll get into this and we'll see what you say, whether they how good they are with knowing the three things that can keep them safe, the three most important things. So I see Patrice says use secure sites to share vital information. Jada says, not clicking on mysterious links, lol. And Lou says, banking, ordering online products, and suspicious text. So Patrice said, I do have mail in the car. Now, Patrice, anyone else carries mail in the car? Have you thought about what Greg just said, Mr. Gregory just said, that I need to make sure that this mail is face down? I didn't think about that. And it's like you were saying, that is the easy way that if someone and they're out there, like if someone is passing by and they wanted to do something, that they could easily take a picture of that. I never thought about that. That's a really good point that you made. That's a
Yeah,
really
and I
good point.
mean, like it's not just that from that end. I think another good one that a lot of people don't think about is when you go to get
Uh-huh.
your gas. So
Uh-huh.
generally, when you get your gas, like if you decide to use your card, there's nothing wrong with using your card, but being cognizant on whether or not that sticker is actually covering the keyhole when it comes down to the card reader. There's another like kiosk like right there next to it. Most of the time, most people don't pay attention to that. So they have universal keys that they can actually go to the keyhole and open it and basically take a scanner and take all of the information off of there, aka all of the card numbers and everything, and take that information and once again do whatever they may with it. So the way to understand that that is safe is to make sure that that keyhole is actually covered with a fresh sticker every time you walk by and
What
it's
is
not
that?
broken.
What is that now?
So the gas end, when you go to get gas,
Uh-huh.
you ever use your card to actually pay for gas at the gas pump?
Yeah, when you put your card in there and it's a debit or credit card, right?
Correct. So when
Uh-huh.
you go there and you slide your card in, right next to it is another section where you will actually see like a keyhole where you can actually like plug in the key to take something out of it. So that right there is protected in a way with the key because there is an actual slot there for somebody to walk up to it with a card reader and basically plug that in to take off or do any level of maintenance to the card reader that you inserted your card into that slot. But if they don't have a fresh sticker on there, then that also can mean that anybody can walk up to it at any given point in time and read it without an individual actually knowing. There are so many different ways that people can actually take your I'll abbreviate it, your PII, your personally identifiable information, and take that information and literally steal your identity and become you online.
Wow. You all, if you are just joining us, we are talking about cybersecurity awareness and October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Share this video out because, as you can see, this is some very, very important information that we are getting on this evening. So, cybersecurity awareness, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat. Patrice, you're not the only one. I feel bad too because I never thought about that. Patrice says she never thought about the with the mail. I never thought about that also. Christina says, yes, there's so many little things you don't think about until after the fact. Patrice also said, she said she didn't know that either, but she said she's seen stickers though. I've never, you all, and I guess maybe that's another thing of being aware now that, and that's why we're having this conversation, Mr. Gregory, because I have never paid any attention to any type of key. I have no clue what you're talking about because I've never paid that any attention. And I feel bad now, Patrice. I've never paid it
Yeah.
any attention. And like you were saying, just something as simple as that, just being aware that it is there, and about the stickers that, can be over it, to let to let us know that, I guess, that has been checked and no one's able to access it. But if that sticker is not there, then that means that they are able to access it. Is that correct?
Yeah, they are able to access it. Or if the sticker is there and the sticker is broken and it's
Mm-hmm.
not a fresh sticker over that key,
Mm-hmm.
then that's where you also want to be cognizant that either that gas station isn't being or doing their due diligence of keeping the a fresh sticker over it, or somebody has been in it after they have put the fresh sticker over it. So those
Wow.
are the things that you want to be cognizant of. Even like when you think about your home, we receive mail in our home all the time. And when we receive said mail, we generally, if after we have utilized the mail, we would throw it in the trash.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Or should I say not cool? Because what people don't think about is
Uh-huh.
you take that trash, you put it in the trash can, and you take your trash bag and you put it in the trash dump, which is outside, and then the garbage people come and pick that up. What people don't think about is somebody can always walk up to trash bags and just rip them open and just open everything back up and read everything that's on there. So one of the best ways for you to keep that information not privy to the world to see is to keep a shredder in your home and to actually shred all of the information that you don't want people to see. And then that way you shouldn't have any issues with somebody ripping open your trash bags and essentially going trash and taking your information and piecing it together to become you online.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So I have a question, and I just want to make sure, how many of you have seen the stickers, paid attention to the stickers, know about the stickers that they're at the gas station? All right. How many of you, let me know in the chat, how many of you know about that? And then also, has there anyone on here that has been a victim of identity theft? If so, let us know briefly, like what happened and what do you do differently now. Let us know if you've been. I want to know, do you know about the stickers? Have you ever known about the stickers? Please don't let me be by myself. I'm not the only one. Am I the only one? Okay, so never knew what they. Okay, so Ajada says she never knew what they were for. I've never even seen them. So at least you've seen them. I've not noticed it. But has anyone ever been a victim of identity theft? And well, I don't even think I have not been a identity theft, but they were able. So I had someone last year to hack into my email, my
That's a
business
form of
email.
identity
Is
theft.
that identity? Okay.
Yeah,
So yeah, they hacked into my business email, and they sent an email to we were working with some investors, and they sent the email to the investors, and they told them that this is a new account that they were going to be using, and then they sent an email to my banker from me, but I could not see it. So whenever my banker contacted me, no, I contacted the bank and asked her, did she receive the email? She said yes, but I could not see the email. And what had happened is they had went in and forwarded. Somehow they got access to my business email, and they forwarded it to their email. And they were sending it as me from their email. I'm not really sure how, but that's what happened with me. Yeah. So Christina said, Cash App got me. I don't keep cards, banking information connected to it anymore. Should we not, Mr. Gregory? Cash App, I thought Cash App was secure.
so
Like,
most of these things are secure. It's the how when it comes down to how you make those connections. There
mm-hmm,
are a lot of different ways in order for you to do that,
mm-hmm,
and there are a myriad of things that you can or can't do with respects to that. So before I actually go into any of those things, I think one of the things to keep in mind is if a person was to steal your banking information and try to start like taking money out of your account, what they generally do or what they yeah what where they kind of start off is they don't necessarily come in and try to take like thousands of dollars like off the top the majority of the time. What they generally do is they will start off with little small transactions, stuff that you probably wouldn't pay attention to, and it just increases over time. and then the next thing you know, you're going from a $2 transaction to a $200 transaction.
Mm,
And then from there, like they'll just keep taking, because what they do not want you to do is actually pick up on what they're doing. They want to, and
um,
generally the way they kind of do that is by collecting multiple people, and then that way they can take little $20 here, little $30 there, little $5 here, and nobody
wow.
notices what they're doing. Like they don't generally just target one person with respect to that. And then on the
Mm-hmm,
other end, just going into a level of the information when it comes down to Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, what have you. Like,
mm-hmm,
number one, you want to keep in mind with respects to this on how you make those connections. If you have a credit card or something like that, credit
mm-hmm.
cards are better to use than your actual personal banking cards, because with your debit cards, if they start taking money out of that, that's actually access to your personal money. What you're doing with credit
Mm,
cards is spending someone else's money. So
mm-hmm,
if you have a level of identity theft wherein people are actually taking your money,
mm-hmm.
then you have time to actually replace that, because you're just making monthly payments on that card, as opposed to if you only have $500 in your bank account and
Mm-hmm.
somebody takes that $500, you're out of
That's
luck.
it.
You're out of
Wow.
gas. You out of
Wow.
just fill in the blank. So on that notice, it's good to keep that stuff in mind, to make sure that you understand, hey, if somebody's going to take my money, let it be my money that's taken from somebody else, aka another credit institution,
Right.
and not my personal bank money, because you can't,
Right.
it's very hard to replace that. Or if
Mm-hmm.
you have a level of things coming up, aka bills, and you don't have that money on hand, you can't just pay for that out of pocket. That's pretty much gone at that point. So
Wow.
those are the things that you just need to be aware of with respects to the banking, not the banking, but the actual payment companies, known as Cash App, known as Venmo, known
Mm-hmm.
as PayPal on that end.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Zelle actually comes from bank accounts, so that's a little bit different. But on
Right.
that note, like the rest of the aforementioned are
Mm-hmm.
ones that you certainly want to be aware of when it comes down to how you are actually linking your money to those things.
Wow. All right. So Christina said perfectly explained. That's some good information, especially Patrice said that too. I think that is some good information, Patrice. You said, Patrice said that's awesome piece of advice about the credit card. I never thought about that either. Patrice also said most of us don't check our bank statements, like you were talking about, that little bit of money at a time, $5, $10 there, $15 there, and then these little transactions, they add up, and then when I guess when they see that they can take the little stuff, then they go for bigger, bigger amounts. That's what I'm
Right.
guessing that happens. All right, so
Yeah,
that is
that's
good.
that's actually happened to me before. So I was
Wow.
able to catch the person because they actually, I think they just went to a gas station
Mm-hmm.
and made like a kind of like a small purchase or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed it because I was like, why is there a transaction on my bank account basically telling me that I made a transaction in Virginia? Like I
Mm-hmm.
haven't been there in a while, and I know I haven't been there in the past couple of weeks. So where is this coming from? And then that way, once I was able to see that, I went straight to my bank and let them know that this happened. They replaced the money, and not only did they replace the money, but they immediately changed my debit card number. So
So
all
how
of
do you
those
how do
things
you think
happen.
they had access? Like, is it through just online? I mean, how would they have gotten that access?
So that's the part that really jumps into cybersecurity. Like you got to be aware of what you're making those connections with when it comes down to making payments. And sometimes you just don't know where it's coming from, because we don't absolutely have 100% immunity when it comes
Mhm.
down to how people actually are going to gain access to our PII. So
Mhm.
from that end, a very easy way that a lot of people can do it, if they have the right technology to do it, is by using card readers. So we have the ability to tap now. We can
Mhm.
tap as a day is long.
Right.
What people
Right.
don't realize is they actually have near field communicators that can actually walk by you and scan whatever you have, and presto, they got your stuff. So when it comes down to that, like there's like I said, a myriad of different
Wow.
ways to do it. And
Wow.
even like nowadays, like you can tap your actual card, but then the card reader will still ask for your PIN on that card.
Mhm.
So when it comes down to that, that kind of jumps into different ways that we can actually implicate a level of cybersecurity, and that is dealing with more so 2 to 3+ factors of authentication, aka your PIN along with some form of biometrics, whether it be your thumbprint, whether it be your facial features. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of different ways that you can actually implement those things. But when it comes down to it, there like you want to protect yourself the best you actually can. But the issue that we have with respects to cybersecurity is just as quick as somebody creates a form of technology, there's
Mm-hmm.
somebody always sitting on the other end trying to figure out how do I break it.
Wow.
Because once they figure out how they break it, that's how they actually gain access to do
Mm-hmm.
things that nobody else can do. And they
Wow.
literally sit there and just try to figure it out as the day is long. Like there was, as an example, this hacker, his name was I think his code name was Gumbo, and
Mm-hmm.
or Gumby, I believe. I think it was Gumby. But nevertheless, what he did, and this was like way before any of this thing became existing, he actually took the magnet of a speaker and he would go to gas stations and put that on the pump, and some way somehow triggered it to actually turn on. And when he triggered it to turn on, that means free gas. So he actually figured that out, and that's not the only thing he did. Like he figured out ways to do so many different things to the point where the owner of the US exchange came to him and asked him, "Hey, can you just come work for me? That's all I need for you to do." Another good example with respects to that is, and this is more so dealing with identity theft, is have you ever heard of the movie oh, what's the name of the movie? It's kind of escaping me right now.
Is it a recent movie?
Catch Me If You Can, with
I've heard
Leonardo
of that.
DiCaprio. Has any
Uh-huh.
of the
Uh-huh.
audience ever heard of that movie?
Audience, have you ever heard of that movie Catch Me If You Can? Or have you seen that movie Catch Me If You Can? I've heard of it, and I think I've seen that a while ago. Okay, Christina said yes, one of her faves. Anyone else heard of the movie Catch Me If You Can? And as we are talking, I just want to remind anyone that's just joining in, we are talking about cybersecurity awareness and how to keep our children and our adults safe in our world of technology today. And I'm learning a lot of information. And we have some questions, Mr. Gregory. Lou said, do you mean we can use a credit card rather than our bank debit card? Yes, if I'm not mistaken, that's what you're saying. That's what he's saying. Like on Cash App or Venmo or PayPal, it would be. You were saying that a little bit
If
better,
feasible,
right?
you possibly can do that. There's different ways to do it. So another good thing is having multiple bank accounts.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can open up multiple bank accounts, you can
That's
actually
good.
take whatever level of money that you want to use
Yep.
for Cash App and put it in that bank account that your main stash is not in.
Yep.
So if Cash App is not accepting your credit card, then just
Mm-hmm.
use
Mm-hmm.
another bank account
Right.
wherein you won't have to worry about somebody coming in and actually taking all of your money out of your bank account with respects to where your main stash is when it comes down to said monies. So that's definitely one of the ways in which you can kind of like deal with that.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things to keep in mind. So just hopping back on the Catch Me If You Can movie with Tom Hanks and Leonardo DiCaprio, I think that's one of the things that people don't understand. They actually he was actually going out and constantly stealing identities to the point where nobody knew what his real name was. And he was just going from point A to point B, whether it's cities within the country, whether it's cities outside of the country. He was
Wow.
just going all over the place, just stealing everybody's identity and actually using those things to get what he wanted, like with everything, whether it's a place to live, whether it's money. He had different ways of doing that. The reason
But
why
they
I
do
brought
that
him
today,
up,
though, right? I
say
mean,
it
that
again,
that actually happens. Like
that
this is
actually
what.
happens. Yes,
Yeah,
that
like
that
this is
100%
something.
happens.
Even though it's a movie, it's something that actually happens.
That guy is a real person. He actually was doing
Wow.
that.
Wow.
And to make it even more funny and to bring this home, with respects to South Carolina, that guy was founded by the federal government, and that guy was hired by the federal government. And he was the last time I checked, he was living in Charleston, South Carolina. So, like, these
Wow.
people exist and they do these kind of things. They live, eat, sleep, breathe, finding who you are so they cannot be who they are, and take advantage of your information as much as possible.
So that goes back to what Christina just asked. Is this their full-time job? I guess the
Yes.
answer would be yes. That is their full-time job. Yes, Christina. Uh, let's see. Ajada said they tried to get her. They told her that her personal identity was being compromised and can she confirm her social security number? She said she was young. Yes, Patrice, like this is the stuff that goes on in the world today. Ajada says, I also had people call me pretending to be with the bank and they had real information too. That happened to me as well. And they almost had me. I went through and verified all of my personal information when they called, like social security, address, not knowing that I was just giving them information. And then they sent the email. And the one thing I noticed was the email said Navy Federal at gmail.com. And it was that little thing and that I caught, but I almost actually went through with it. When I saw at Gmail, I was like, oh, that's not right because Navy Federal doesn't have, don't use Gmail accounts.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, you certainly want to be aware of those things, and especially when it comes down to getting down to the nitty gritty and dealing with your children.
mhm,
Like all of these different things are not very hard for you to spot as long as you have the trained eye and you kind of understand
mhm,
everything that you should be looking for. And I think this is one of the major reasons why, like, if you like this information, you need to smash the like button because at the end of the day, it's these type of things that a lot of people aren't aware of, and they're
right,
basically taking advantage of each and every day. Like they're getting taken advantage of, and a lot of
right.
them don't know any better with respects to the information that they don't know. And you have a
Mhm,
lot of them certainly preying on older people who don't have any idea with respects to
yep,
technology and how it works. And they
yep,
will actually fearmonger them into like just taking them for what they have, even if they don't have money in the bank. Like they'll tell
yep,
them, hey, go put this money in the bank. And they know that a lot
yeah,
of people may still have money in a shoebox or money under their
mhm,
mattress. And they'll go do
yeah,
that because they said they were the IRS and the IRS is going to come put me in handcuffs, like that kind of
wow,
thing. And it's like, wait a minute,
wow,
the IRS doesn't
mhm,
contact me through phone like that. Like they'll send me
right,
a
right,
professional email, not email, but actual mail, like in an envelope to let you know here's who we are, like and so on and so forth, with respects to the Internal Revenue Service actually
mhm,
contacting people. So
mhm.
I think it's just really good for a person to be cognizant of how these entities communicate with individuals. Because if you're not aware of that, then it's
Uh-huh.
certainly something where it's going to be you getting taken advantage of because of your lack of knowledge.
That's true, Patrice. That is why. Thank you, Ajada. That was a good catch. Now, Christina says she knew he lives in Charleston based on a true story. Wow. And then Patrice said, this is why personal relationship with people are still so vital. That is so true because you don't want anyone to be taken advantage of. So, yes, share this video with your family and your friends. We're going to jump on. We only have about 20 more minutes. We're going to jump. Listen, and we want to get to some information with the kids. Okay. So, Mr. Gregory, tell us, we talked about a lot of things, but based on like emails, shopping, social media, what would you say are the three most important tips for adults to remember when keeping themselves and our information safe online? What are the three things you would say for us?
So one of the first things I would think when it comes down to keeping your information safe online is number one, the thing that I mentioned earlier, be aware of how different companies and like really big companies like banks and different corporations actually communicate with their customers. Because
Okay.
if you're not aware of how those things are or how they generally do it, then they can definitely take advantage of you in some way, shape, form, or fashion by
Mm-hmm.
using different forms of attacks, whether it's whaling, fishing, spear fishing, uh, just fill in the blank. There are so many different ways that they attack
Mm-hmm.
people.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
definitely keep your information safe with respects to being cognizant on how they communicate with people.
Okay.
And number two, understand the platforms that you're on. A lot of
Okay.
people, they get on platforms because it's trending, and they just jump on there and basically just do what everybody else is doing without
Mm-hmm.
necessarily understanding what that entity is and how it communicates with people. So I think a good example with respects to that is the artificial intelligence out here that actually can read your face and come up with a level of a 3D version of what you would look like, and you can kind of modify that. Like,
Yeah.
these companies can actually take that same information and become you and use your facial recognition or use your voice to actually do the things that they want to do with it. So
Yeah.
you certainly want to be very aware of the social media platforms that you're
Mm-hmm.
on, any level of emailing system that you're using.
Mm-hmm.
Just be aware and understand the platforms that you're on with respects to that. So
Mm-hmm.
I think those two things are some of the major things that a lot of people just don't understand with respects to keeping themselves safe. And then number three, when it comes down to just your overall safety, be aware of what you communicate with other people,
Okay.
because people can, like, what most hackers do is just gather information. So when you communicate who you are, what you're doing, what your children's name are, like how your children look, all of these different things, there was somebody always on the other end who is just sitting there collecting information, and they're doing with the information whatever they may want to do. And once it hits the black market, there is only but so much that you can do with respects to that. So just once again, just be very aware of what you're communicating online, and understand that just as much as your best friend can see it and like be okay with it, some random
Mm-hmm.
person in
Mm-hmm.
another country that you have never seen a day before in your life can take that same information and do whatever they want with it. So I think those three things are the main things that we can utilize to take advantage of our own protection, because a lot of these different things are once again just a level of a lack of knowledge on how
Mm-hmm.
technology basically works, and how you can kind of just think about it in the realms of protecting yourself while you're walking along the street. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's the same concept.
That's good. Woo! If you are learning something, listen, please make sure and share this video with your family and friends. We have a few more minutes because we want to talk about the kids real quick before we go. And I want to go ahead and segue into that by what Mr. Gregory said about how when you put things online, this is something that I think this was probably one of the most concerning things that I learned in talking with you and doing the research. Yes, Patrice, it is crazy, and that is how many of you have ever shared a picture of your child online? Let me know. How many of you have ever shared a picture of your children, your grandchildren, etc. online? And then how many of you have heard of something called deep fakes? Let me know. How many of you have shared pictures of your children or grandchildren online? And then how many of you have heard of something called deep fakes? Let me know. I know there's a little, and while she said, I used to, but I stopped. So one of my friends was very adamant about that. She said, I do not, and I couldn't understand it. And I was like, oh, it's just, picture. I mean, we're not sharing anything. That is just a picture. I stopped as well. Okay, so Patrice says she's never heard of deep fakes. Anyone else have heard of deep fakes? So talk to me. Let me know. Has anyone heard of deep fakes? How many of you all have shared pictures of your children or relatives or somebody young, minor online? Okay. I want to show this video real quick, Mr. Gregory, that I
In
found.
Germany.
And I want you all to, Mr. Guy said deep fakes. Yes. Okay. So, Mr. Guy, have you heard of deep fakes? Okay. So, Ajada, you've heard of? Oh, so you've shared pictures. When I found this, I want you all to really look at this because this was really concerning. And then I've never heard of that though. Okay. This is something where AI, I read that, yeah, Mr. Guy, that basically what it is the hackers and the cyber criminals are now using AI to their advantage in terms of technology. Okay. Okay, so Patrice said, "Oh, I see the video. I think I've heard of it. I didn't know it was called that." Christina said, "It's rare that my family does share a picture of the kids. I've noticed a huge decline in people sharing their children, especially celebrities." All right, so look at this, you all.
An ad campaign in Germany is raising the alarm about protecting your children's digital privacy and preventing the devastating effects of deep fakes. One of Europe's largest telecommunication providers is now using a chilling new ad of an AI-generated deepfake to show how posting images of your kids on social media could give complete strangers enough data to abuse them. I'm talking about posts of ordinary events like birthdays or videos of your kids just being silly. Just take a look at this ad and remember, what you're seeing is not real.
Hey, Mom. Hey, Dad. It's me, Ella. Well, a digital version of me. Just a bit older. Amazing what technology can do these days, isn't it? All you need are a couple of pictures, like the ones you share on social media, where they can be taken and used by everybody.
So you all, that's it. Thank you, Christina. Listen, when I saw that, so of course, me being that we have this topic, Mr. Gregory, I began to research a little more about it, and I found out that even in some other countries, they're having an issue now where they are taking, AI is taking the pictures that of younger children that are online, transforming them, using AI to transform them, as you saw, into adults, and they're selling the pictures. And you all know how that happens from there. Okay, so they're selling these, they're making these pictures, not just regular ordinary pictures. Once they transform these young kids into adult looking pictures from their faces, they're taking and they're adding a whole lot of stuff and they're selling it. So think of the people that and what type of pictures they may want to buy. So that was very chilling when I read that, and I was like, this is crazy. Has anyone ever seen or heard of that before? Am I the only one that is just, I know Mr. Guy, that is beyond disturbing. Yes, it is, Christina. That is crazy. And so I am guilty of being one that has shared information of my grandkids, my kids, online, just casual pictures. But Mr. Gregory, maybe you could help us out that. I guess let's talk about it. Is that social media safe, or I guess it's not safe when it comes to sharing that information of the children online?
Yeah, so I would say that it is safe, but everything goes back to how you utilize it. So one of the many things, or one of the most important things when it comes down to creating profiles, is having your profile on private mode. So when you have it on private mode, then that means that everybody can't see it. Only your friends that you know personally, that you trust personally, can see the things that you post personally.
And so then have your profile on private mode.
Yeah, so everybody, so it's not on public. So when it's on public, then that basically means that the world can see whatever you post. So if somebody decides to take that picture and share that picture, you don't have any control over that person sharing that picture. But when it's like on Facebook or on Instagram, different platforms, they'll actually signify you when somebody decides that they wants to share something. And then that way, if it happens, then you automatically know who is the person that actually is doing it, as opposed to it being global. Because once it's on public mode, then what that basically means is anybody can take that and share it at any given point in time. And once one person shares it, then that is basically out of your hands, because another person who you don't know, who's friends with that person, can actually take that same information and share it with the rest of the world to see, unbeknownst to you. So it's certainly something that you want to keep in mind. I don't have any issues per se with respects to an individual deciding that they want to share a level of their children or whatever the case may be. But just make sure that if you do that, that your profile is set to private, and that you have all control over who sees, who shares, so on and so forth, your information with anybody else.
That's good. And I think I've seen that in settings. So yes, Patrice said, I need that link to share with your grandparents. And we just put that link in there for anyone that wants to share it. You can watch the rest of it, that video information, and you can look up the information on deepfakes. Lou said, I've never heard of that as well. All right. So you all, while we are wrapping up, what are the top three? Well, let's talk about educating our elementary children about being safe online. We have YouTube. We have kids that are gaming. How many of your children like game with other people? Because I think that is a thing that my children used to do is game with other individuals. But now I don't know if it's as safe as it was, before. I think there's more opportunity for a lot more disturbing things that can happen when they're gaming. So tell us a little bit about educating when our children are on YouTube, when they're gaming with these, Xbox, PlayStations. And if I'm not mistaken, can't they have like a list of people and they can just choose to randomly play with somebody they don't know, right? And a question for parents: how do you keep your children safe while online? What are some of the things, as Mr. Gregory tells us, what are some of the things that you do to keep your children safe online? Okay. What are some of the things that you do to keep your young children, elementary children, safe online? Let us know. Do your children use YouTube? Are your children gaming? Are they doing research? I know, like I said, as a first grade teacher, I had my children doing research in first and second grade. So let us know. So Mr. Gregory, as respect to YouTube, gaming, keeping the children safe, what do parents need to be letting their children know? What do they need to be doing to make sure? Because we talked a little bit about that gaming world, right? So
Right.
how do we do that?
Yeah, so when it comes down to those things, it goes back to those top three things that I was talking about with respects to keeping yourself safe. And one of those things was understanding the platform that you're on. So when it comes down to YouTube, when it comes down to different games out here, any social media platform, you want to be aware of, number one, having an ability to actually restrict your children from seeing everything on there, because in a lot of different ways, once you see certain things, you can't unsee it. Then next thing you know, hey, mommy, what is this? Hey, daddy, what is that? Hey, I heard about so-and-so. Or you see them start to change their demeanor because somebody is basically treating them a certain way online. So you basically want to be aware of the type of platform that they're on, number one. And then number two, look at the ability to actually restrict that child from seeing everything that platform has to offer. When it comes down to games have ratings. So if you were to look in that, see if I can fixate my hands here, that little small section on the bottom of your screen, it'll let you know whether or not this game is rated E for everyone, whether it's rated mature for 18 and up, whether it's rated for, like, just fill in the blank with whatever the age group is. You want that to be rated E for everyone, because that basically means that it's a more so rated G kind of game. And you don't have to necessarily worry about a level of craziness on how different things can happen, and also be aware of who that child is actually friends with on the game. So you don't want the child to be friends with everybody. You want the child to be friends with people that you actually know personally, so they don't have access to the rest of the world, because once that happens, then that's where the floodgates open. That's where, once again, you have a level of an ability to communicate with people who you don't know who they are. They can put a child picture up in a profile, and that can be a grown man talking to that child. That can be a grown woman talking to that child, trying to coerce them to do so and so, such and such, aka meet me at this place whenever you get a chance. And then the next thing you know, the child is saying, hey, mommy, I want to go to the jump house. I want to go here. I want to go there. And you're like, well, you've been asking me for so long. And that person has been asking them for so long to actually go there. So it's little things like that you just need to be aware of, and it kind of keep the attackers at bay, and keep people with, going back to that malicious word, malicious intent, at bay from actually knowing that these children exist, and let alone the ability to do anything to them.
That's good. And so knowing, again, I want to reiterate, knowing that when your child is on, being aware when they are on, and paying attention to who they are connected to. Is it someone that you know, right? Having that conversation ahead of time about, hey, before you connect with anyone else to play a game, because I know they do these competitions and challenges on there, before you do anything, I need to know who you are connected to, because just as you said, that it could be somebody, it could be an adult that's portraying to be a child, and it could, that may not have there's some type of malicious intent. So that's good. I'm speeding up. We have about 5 minutes. Tell me about, as we are closing, I want you to be thinking of your last words to our parents and children. Parents, how are you keeping your children, your grandkids safe online? If you have grandkids, if you have nieces, nephews, what are some of the things that you do when they're on their little tablets? What do you do with keeping them online? Mr. Gregory, put that in the chat for me. I want to know, what are some of the things that you all are doing? If you have any questions about some things that you need to do, if you want to ask Mr. Gregory, go ahead and put that in the chat as well. We're talking about cybersecurity awareness. This has been some great information, Mr. Gregory. As we are winding down, I talked to you, and I know a lot of you may have seen this video that was going around, this news clipping where the young lady talked about a hacker got into her security system. That was alarming to me. How many of you seen that news clip where the ladies, the hacker got in, or someone got into their security system and was talking to the child through the security? Like, I guess they had something in the child's room where they could see as well, something on the outside, and the person had hacked into it and was talking to the young child while the parents were asleep. But when they and the child went around there, and they did a news interview with her. That's concerning, alarming to me. Has anyone else ever heard of that? Has anyone else ever heard of that happening? Did anyone else see that news clipping? Tell us about that. Like, is that common, Mr. Gregory, for that to happen, for someone to be able to do that? Because we have our security system to keep us safe, to keep us and our children safe. But the thought of someone hacking in there.
Yeah, so I believe that certainly is something that is capable. That being said, those are more of the advanced hackers that typically do that kind of stuff. Like, some of them actually do these kind of things for fun, so they can figure out how systems work, so they can do more serious things with respects to gaining a level of information in order for them to either withhold that information for ransom, or just try to figure out different ways to do that. So the answer to that question is that is very possible that they can actually do those things, because once again, it's a level of just collecting information. And once they can access your system online, then that gives them the ability to do whatever they want to do with it.
How can we stop that? Is there anything that we can do to prevent that from happening?
Yeah, so one of the major things that you can do is basically have a firewall, like an actual physical appliance that is between your home and your actual Wi-Fi. So if you have that firewall, aka that gate that protects your Wi-Fi, then you can control what comes in and out of your home when it comes down to your network traffic. So if you just think about it from this standpoint, when it comes down to the mail that comes into your house, you are controlling whether or not that mailman or that UPS or DHL or whomever, FedEx, fill in the blank, is having the ability to actually bring that box into your house. That you can do that same thing with the firewall. Your firewall is going to say, hey, you can come up to the door, but if I decide not to open the door, you can't get in. If I decide that you are blocked with respects to not having the ability to get in point blank period, then that's what that setting is for on that firewall. And that's where, once again, when it comes down to what's going out, you can decide that, hey, I am the only person that is going out of this house to get this mail from this porch, or I am the only person that's going out of this network to get whatever level of information that I need out, and that's it. So you always want to protect the back end when it comes down to the actual Wi-Fi in your house. And a good way to do that is through having an actual firewall, a physical appliance, or you can actually utilize that on your operating system, aka Windows or Mac, in order for you to add that same technology when it comes down to your security system to your antivirus settings as well. So there is different ways to protect yourself. The question is your level of comfortability and your ability to implement those things to keep people from coming in and out.
That's good. All right. So that was a lot. And then I guess we can just look up how whatever with firewalls and make sure and to get information on that. Or is that we need to like get someone take it to a company to make sure that we have the firewall on there?
Yeah, so everybody has a firewall built into their actual laptops, and you can actually look at those things on your either Microsoft or what have you with respects to your actual operating system, or you can go and find like a Symantec or a Firewalla or fill in the blank with Norton Security.
Okay.
They have a lot of different appliances out there that can actually help to protect your home with respects to web security. And not only that, but like a lot of these things are actually made to where it's user friendly, where you can actually just read and click and basically protect yourself from that standpoint. And you can find these things at Best Buy, Walmart, like they're all over the place. The main thing is going back to what I was talking about earlier, and that is having the knowledge to know what needs to be protected in order for you to protect yourself.
This is good. Listen, go ahead and be thinking of the last words to our Light It Up TV family. Thank you all so much. I want you all to go ahead and drop in the chat, stay cyber secure. Stay cyber secure. All right. Stay cyber secure. Hashtag stay cyber secure. I agree. We didn't even touch on a lot of information, but we tried to give you what we felt was the most important information, some of the things to have you to think about whenever you and your children are online. Patrice said, I didn't hear about it, but I heard about walkie-talkie toys for kids catching strange frequencies. That I remember that the frequencies were coming into the same frequencies of the truckers' CBs, which can be dangerous and connected to child trafficking. Wow.
It's nothing but radio waves. That's all they are.
Wow. So Patrice says, this is great information. These podcasts always are, but I feel like we need a part 2 of this. This was I know it's so much information when it comes. Stay cyber secure. If you are still on, drop in the chat. Stay cyber secure. Thank you so much for joining us. Last words. I want to say, you all don't forget. Share this with your family and friends. You never know. This could help someone to stay safe. All right. We'll do a live replay at 9 p.m. on YouTube. Share this discussion. Mr. Gregory, last words.
Yeah. So the last words that I have with respects to everything, and this is going to sound simple, use your common sense. Like just think about things from a day-to-day standpoint. Think about things that you generally would do from a day-to-day standpoint to protect your children, and apply that same concept online. As long as you can do that, you can be very aware of what's going on. The problem generally happens where people just think about the online world as some form of utopia or euphoria, where like they can come up with whatever idea they want to come up with and do whatever they want to do in this like fantasy world. That is very much so possible, but as long as you use your common sense and ask yourself the question, does this make sense? Like, as long as you ask yourself those questions, it should be a relatively simple concept on how you protect yourself. It's the same thing applies in the real world. Just once again, think about how you would walk from point A to point B and what you would do to protect yourself and your children, especially your children, and apply those same concepts online.
I love it. You all heard it. Just think about how the same thing you would protect them in just out here in the everyday world is the same way we want to protect them when we're online. Thank you so much, Mr. Gregory. Some really, really great information. Everyone is saying this was great information. Stay cyber secure. I appreciate you. If you can stay on right quick, family, until next time, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Remember, go ahead and like this video and then share it out. Until next time, remember to light it up.